Hey everybody, it's me Stacy here at Scrapbooking Made Simple, and it is time for Saturday with Stacy. We are on YouTube number 159, and this is the YouTube where we get into inks. We get into using Memento inks in a way you would have never thought to use them before, honestly. And we are featuring the most beautiful and affordable stamps from Docratfs, but in a way, again, that you might not thought to have used them. So I'm excited to bring you this YouTube. There's a lot of technique involved. I would say absolutely a paper and pencil without question. So if you have to pause me, okay, I'm back. I never want you to pause me and I have that look like my eyes are half closed or I have got winner chicken dinner to talk about. I have got the contest for the shop that did not hop and the Sizzix warehouse sale to tell you about. I have got, oh my goodness, I've got an air conditioning update. It is almost 8 o'clock sunny California time, 8 p.m. Everybody is gone. I'm up in the warehouse all by myself. And reason for that is we still don't have air conditioning, and the YouTube I'm doing today requires a heat tool. It requires a heat gun. And the thought of closing the door to this small little room and then turning on that heat gun was more than I could bear. So I am up here when I can leave the door open to the office where I YouTube, because it really is, it's like this 10 by 10 room. It's not very big. And with me talking the way I do and all the hot air that comes out of me and then all the hot air that's going to come out of the out of the heat tool, I thought, oh, I'll never make it through. I have gone down to a little cardigan sweater as opposed to my sweatshirt, my SMS sweatshirt. So I'm down to a little cardigan sweater. I'm doing better. But the good news is that it looks like next week the air conditioning units will start to be installed. I seriously cried. I mean, I cried when I heard that that they will start to be installed on Tuesday. It will take approximately 4 days to do all the work. That means that shipping is going to be very sporadic during that time. Our phones may be on and off during that time. It just depends upon if they have to shut power down. But we will have air conditioning, and it is 110 out here in sunny California, and that's really hot. And then of course inside the building it's even hotter. The sun is beating down on the windows right now. So I am thrilled to finally get new air conditioners for the warehouse. Truly, glory be. Honest to goodness, I will cry. So I'm just letting you know that next week, if you call, please don't be upset if we don't answer. We might not know that the phone, the phones will be on and off and on and off and on and off, but keep trying. We will answer them. If you are waiting for an email response, we'll do our best to get them back to you just as quickly as possible. And that shipping is going to be sporadic at best because the ductwork and everything is actually in the shipping room. So bear with us a little bit longer. This is between the fire and the air conditioning, this is a temporary problem that will have resolution sooner than later, I'm hoping. Now, the contest for the shop that did not hop in the Sizzix warehouse sale. I wanted to fly somebody out here and have somebody come for a few days to the shop that did not hop and the Sizzix warehouse sale, and I couldn't save enough money. So I did put some money aside. It just wasn't enough to pay for everything. So we decided to do a contest, and there will be 5 lucky winners, and those 5 winners will get a gift card either in their online account prior to the event starting, or they can pick up a gift card in the store if they happen to be a local peep. What I need you to know is that while this contest has some rules, it really isn't about how good you are or how creative you are or if you've been a crafter for 2 months or 20 years. It's about sharing what it is you love to do. So I have rules here. I have my rules. And at the very bottom of it, I don't know if you can see this, rules are subject to change as we think of them. Okay. So it can be any type of craft that you want to send us a picture of. It can be a layout, it can be a card, it can be crocheting, it can be needlepoint, it can be any type of craft that you have done, jewelry making, whatever it is. The stipulation is you have to either use some kind of a Sizzix die, a Sizzix embossing folder, a Sizzix stamp, or a simply defined stamp or die. Now you could use the die cut and make a mask out of it and use the mask because you used a Sizzix die to make it. But every submission must have some sort of a Sizzix or simply defined product on it so that we can see it. You need to email us that submission along with the item number that you used from Sizzix, the SKU and the name of the die or the embossing folder or the stamp, or the SKU and the name of my product, the simply defined product, dies and stamps that you used. You need to have all pictures must be to us by 11:59 p.m. on July 12th. The opening day of the shop that did not hop is July 15th, so that will give us time to randomly pull names. There will be randomly pulled names. 5 people are going to win, and these submissions are going to go on Pinterest, so it doesn't matter if you get repinned 500 times or if you get repinned once or you don't get repinned at all. This isn't a popularity contest. This is about sharing creativity. So if you submit an entry and you've got a Sizzix product on it or a simply defined die or stamp on it, you're eligible to win. 1 entry per person. So projects must contain a die cut, embossing folder or stamp or by simply defined or Sizzix. All projects will be posted on Pinterest, and you're giving us your permission to post them on Pinterest by sending us your submission. In the body of your email to us, like I said, we need to know what product you use, the die or the stamp, or the embossing folder that you use. We also need to have your name, and please confirm your email address, just because. Just do me the favor and just confirm the email address. And all entries are eligible to win. If it's jewelry, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's creative and you did it, send it to us because you may be a lucky winner. Where do you have to send your pictures? You have to send them to Chicken Dinner at scrapbookingmadesimple.com. Chicken Dinner. Can you see? Chicken Dinner at scrapbookingmadesimple.com. That's where you send your submissions. The email address is set up. You can start submitting right away. We will start posting them, and you will see your projects up there. If for some reason you do not see your projects within a week's time, then send it again because it might have ended up in our spam, but I've set the controls so hopefully everybody gets through to us. And good luck! 5 of you are going to win SMS gift cards to spend any way you see fit during the Shop That Did Not Hop in the Sizzix Warehouse sale. So you've got the general gist of the contest. I reserve the right to change the rules as I think of them. I think I've thought of everything. It's common sense, right? Common sense. 1 entry per person. You got to use certain product. Doesn't matter what you do, and you're giving us permission to post on Pinterest. All right, so that's the contest, and it starts now. So start sending us your submissions. We can't wait to share them with everybody. We're very excited. Now for Winner Chicken Dinner from the last YouTube, which was the hot off the press interactive cards and their dazzles, the inside outs and the interactive cards with the pretty dazzles that coordinate with them, but you wouldn't necessarily know that if they didn't, store didn't put them together, and they should put them together. Who won? Well, 2 of you. If you are Christine Schultz, congratulations, you are Winner Chicken Dinner this week. And if you are Kelly Rickman, R-I-C-K-M-A-N, Kelly Rickman, you are also a Winner Chicken Dinner this week. Congratulations, girls, you have got yourselves a nice little prize package of hot off the press products. Woohoo, ka-choo. Where are you gonna send your emails? Not to Chicken Dinner at scrapbookingmadesimple.com. No, you're going to send them to winner at scrapbookingmadesimple.com. Keep it separate. We got to keep the winner separate from the chicken dinners. So send us your email. Tell us that you are Winner Chicken Dinner from YouTube number 158, and we will get your prizes out to you just as quickly as possible. Congratulations. If you want to win a prize from this YouTube, all you have to do is watch me post a very nice, it doesn't even have to be very nice, just post a kind comment. Kindness, it goes a long way, honestly. Otherwise, you might just find that I pick up the phone and call you personally. And that way you can tell me your comment that you might not have said to me to my face, but you can tell me your comment right over the phone to me. Yes, I have been known to do that. So the person who thought I need Botox, I just picked up the phone and called him and I said, really? Do you know the best place for me to go and get that done? Really? So just keep it kind. That's it. It doesn't even have to be about me. It can be about anything. Anything that's exciting in your life, anything that's exciting in your family's life. It can be just well wishes to somebody. It can be you're having a bad day and you just need to let it out. Let it out. Vent if you need to. You know, your day at work was terrible and you know, it was hard, but you can't wait to get creative this weekend. That's okay too. It's a community here, but we have to be kind to each other, okay? Otherwise, I might just call you. Let me tell you, that person was very surprised to hear me on the other end of the phone asking about where they suggest I go get Botox. But maybe they're right. Maybe I do need it. But nope, no, I don't think so. I earned these lines. Okay, so Kelly and Christine, congratulations. You guys have all the rules on the Shop That Didn't Hop in Sizzix Warehouse sale contest. Get your submissions in, and I am going to start for today. Oh, and I also want to tell you just really quickly, not that you're not forwarding, but that's okay if you are. I think I have found 2 really great people to hire. I'm very excited about this. They are 2 young women who I think will be an asset, and I'm very excited to see where they may go in their journey. You know, I'm hoping that they both work out, but I will let you know. But right now it looks like we may have 2 new hires and great young women. They both have really positive attributes about them, and that's what we look for. Not the experience, not a college degree, but are you a good person? That is so important. Because if you're a good person, we can work with that. Anyway, I'm excited. If everything works out, you'll hear more about them later when we post them on Facebook. So, all right, now down we go. All right, bye. It's amazing how many people have college educations and yet they're not so nice. And then of course there's people who, you know, it's just you can't judge a book by their cover. You a resume isn't all that. You need to meet them and talk to them and really understand them. Okay, so I have got inks here. And the reason I've got inks here is because I want to talk before I get started. I just want to go over the CDPs of inks. Now, those of you who have been following me for a very long time already know what the CDPs of ink is. Most people, when they go shopping for ink, struggle. There is so many different brands of ink pads out on the market. There is, you know, there's Mementos and Tim Holtz and StazOn and Lawn Fawn and Color Box and I mean there's just Archival, and there's just so many different brands. But what do they do? And how do you know what to buy for the project you're trying to do? I'm hoping that this will help you. Now, when you learn your ABCs, you learn them that way. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way to Z. A is the first letter, Z is the last letter, and then everything falls in between. Well, when you're talking about the CDPs of ink, I want you to think about how those letters fall. C being the first letter, D being the next letter, and P being all the way down that alphabet, almost to the end. When I talk about C, I am talking about a chalk-based ink. That's how you get the letter C. Now, we at Scrapbooking Made Simple don't sell chalk-based inks. Why? Well, just like ABC is the first 3 letters of the alphabet, C is the closest to A. That means C dries the fastest. So if I had a stamp, which I don't have one right here, but if I had a stamp and this was a chalk-based ink and I wanted to ink up my stamp, that ink, because it's a C, a chalk-based ink, tends to dry like that. I may not have enough time to go and press my stamp and get my image because C is a chalk-based ink, and C is the closest to the beginning of the alphabet, so it dries the fastest. Absolutely. Now, D, C, D. D is right next to C. It's really close to C. They're bosom buddies. D is a dye-based ink. And we do sell dye-based inks. We sell Memento. It is a dye-based ink. We sell Tim Holtz Distress. It is a dye-based ink. There's lots of dye-based inks out there. Now, dye-based ink, the D comes after the letter C. So that means it dries fast, but not as fast as chalk-based ink. It stays wet just long enough for you to ink up your stamp and then stamp with it. Absolutely. And then it's almost dry instantaneously because C is chalk-based ink, dries super fast. D is dye-based ink. It's right after the C, so it stays wet just a little bit longer, not that much longer, but long enough for you to be able to stamp with it. Then we have what's called P. So actually two P's. We have P. Now, if you've got your C and your D really close to each other because they dry almost exactly or pretty close in the same time, and then you've got your pigment-based ink. Now, pigment-based ink is all the way down the alphabet because it starts with a P, pigment-based, and you can see this one from Brilliance says pigment-based ink on it. So P is a long way down from D. That means this ink is going to take a long time to dry. Long enough that you could ink up your stamp, stamp with it, and then smush it, kind of rub it, and it will smear. What do most people use pigment-based ink for? Well, almost all of your metallic colors are a pigment-based ink. Also, if you want to do embossing with clear embossing powder, you need an ink that is going to stay wet long enough for you to put on your embossing powder and then flip it off and then heat it. It won't work with a dye-based ink. Dye-based ink dries too fast. If I were to stamp with my stamp and throw on some embossing powder and then tap it off, it all would come off. It just doesn't stay wet long enough for that. And if the dye-based doesn't stay wet, well then chalk-based definitely isn't going to stay wet long enough for you to use an embossing powder for. So P stands for pigment. And pigment, when you see pigment, it takes a long time for it to dry. So if you just want to stamp and color, you want a dye-based ink. That is the most used general all-purpose everyday ink. Stampin' Up! Is dye-based ink. Most people need a dye-based ink in their arsenal. If you want a metallic color or you want to use it for embossing, you need a pigment-based ink. Pigment-based ink. And like I said, we don't sell chalk ink because really you can't stamp with it very well at all. And it just has very limited features for us, and we can get everything else done with the inks we have. Now, the last one I want to talk to you about is also a P. This is permanent ink. Permanent. And permanent is like a Sharpie marker. This ink is StazOn. And that's exactly what you should think of. When you see StazOn, you think Sharpie marker. This will stamp on glass, on plastic, on metal. Will it stamp on paper? Yes. Is it the best to stamp on paper? No, you really want to use a dye-based ink to stamp on paper if you want to color. But if you need to stamp on acetate, or if you need to stamp on anything non-porous, foil, anything like that, StazOn is a permanent ink. And when you see StazOn, think Sharpie marker, because what can you write on with a Sharpie? Sure, you can color on paper with a Sharpie, but you can also do metal and plastic and glass with a Sharpie. So, when you think about inks, if you remember your ABCs, you'll remember your CDPs. C for chalk, dries almost instantaneously. D for dye-based ink. And it says that right on there. It says right on here, lasting dye-based ink. Dries almost as quick as a chalk, but is wet long enough for you to use it as your stamping, to stamp your images. And then it dries very fast so you can go in and color right away. And then you have P, either pigment or permanent. Pigment stays wet really, really long time. So you can emboss with it, or you can schmutz it around, and most of your metallic colors are going to be in pigment or a StazOn. And this is an alcohol-based stamp pad, an alcohol-based ink. So your Copic, you can't use this with your Copic, oh no, 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 because, or any alcohol-based marker, because this is also alcohol-based and it'll make mud. You need a Memento dye-based ink to use your alcohol markers. CDP, chalk, dye, pigment, permanent. ABC. As long as you remember your ABCs, you will remember your CDPs. So when you're out there looking for ink and you see something that says chalk on it, do you need something that's going to dry really quick and you don't ever want to stamp with it? Great. Chalk ink, you know, to do your edges if you want to do your edges, great. Chalk ink is great for that. Do you want an all-purpose ink that will allow you to do more, but it will not let you emboss with embossing powder? Then you're going to look at your dye-based inks. Or are you doing a wedding invitation and you need a metallic color and you want to throw clear embossing powder over the top of it to add that beautiful raised look to it? Your pigment-based ink. Or are you doing cute little tea lights for Christmas and you want to stamp snowflakes on your glass? Permanent. Okay? So I hope that helps explain, because we are going to be using with some different inks today. We're going to be playing with Memento today. Memento, and we're going to be playing with the Brilliance. Now, Memento and Brilliance, they come in full size and dewdrop size. Same thing with the smaller. This is the exact same ink. It's just one's a dewdrop size and one's a full size. If this was black, if these two were black, they would be the exact same ink. One's smaller, one's a full size. I recommend you only get a full size stamp pad for colors you use all the time. Memento comes in like 36 colors, and perhaps Tangelo is not a color you would use every day. Then don't spend the money on a full size pad. Just get yourself a dewdrop for $2.29 versus, I think, the $6. They've gone up to $6.19 for a full-size pad. And they have the markers to match for your Oops pen, and they have re-inkers. So you could be getting the re-inker and re-ink this forever and never need to own anything bigger than that. But maybe with the black you do need a full-size pad because you stamp with black a lot, or brown, or red. So only spend the money on the sizes that you use all the time, and then the fun colors that you want to have but aren't sure you're going to use all the time, buy the smaller size and save the money. Okay, so I've explained a little bit about ink, and I'm going to get started. We are going to be working with stamps from Docratfs, creativity stamps, and they are big stamps. Don't get me wrong, they are very big stamps. This is one of the background stamps, and I think this is the steampunk. I'm going to take it out of the package for you because you need to see. I'm just going to put that right over there. First off, the stamp comes in this cute little carrying case that you can get I think they sell one. I think they might have been out of stock, but it comes ready to go in this cute little carrying storage container for you. Isn't that lovely? And you know, what a nice way to keep them all together. It comes with it. It's free. It's part of the set. That's fabulous. And then inside, like I said, these are big stamps. I would never throw that away. I would either find the binder to make it work, or if we can get them in stock, we'll let you know. They were sold out at the time. This is a whopper of a stamp. So if this is an 8.5 piece of paper, there's your stamp. It is big. When I posted these on Facebook a while ago, a lot of you said, but I don't use a stamp that big. I never make cards that big. I get it. Totally understand. We're not going to use the whole stamp. We're going to use portions of it. This stamp retails every day, including the cute little storage, $9.99 for a stamp this size, and it is made beautifully. You can partition where you want to actually use the stamp the image. You don't have to use the whole thing, but for $10, this is a heck of a buy. You might only want to use the balloon. You might only want to use the balloon. You might only want to use the fingers. I shouldn't say the finger, the pointy finger. Okay, the pointy finger. You may want to use the gears. Instead of having to buy 1, 2, 3 different stamps, you've got one stamp that has it all for $9.99. And of course, it's going to be on a YouTube Yummy for 20% off. That makes it $8 for the whole thing, including the storage. So I want to show you how we're going to do that today. But I also want to talk to you about Memento and Brilliance inks. We've been showing a lot of really cool ways of inking up your paper. Just taking white paper. We've been using Brushos and clear color and gelatos. We've been doing a lot. And there's a lot of really wonderful, wonderful product out there. But I know not everybody can go out and get those products when they want them. They may have to save up for them. It may take them a while to actually be able to get them. They may never be able to get them. That shouldn't impede you making beautiful things. So I'm going to play with Memento today in a way that is not typically what you do with Memento. Memento ink, as I said, it's a D. It's a dye-based ink. Let me just put that over to the side. It is a dye-based ink, and Memento is extra special because it does not react with water. So unlike a Tim Holtz Distress ink, where you can stamp with it and then add your water brush and give it a water look effect, it's a dye-based ink too, but it reacts with water. Memento does not, which is why Copic users or alcohol marker users love Memento, because it lets them color without smearing and getting all over the place. The thing with Memento is that, like I said, it doesn't move. So where I've put it, I'm never going to get those lines to blend in and make pretty. You know how you take a gelato and you blend it and it's beautiful and it's so, that's never going to happen with a Memento, using it the way most of you would use it. Because once you put it onto the paper, I mean, if you want to do a solid color, just a solid color of blue, well then you can do that. But if I wanted to take, let's grab another piece. If I wanted to take, let's not use something so harsh. If I wanted to take an orange and a yellow, if this was gelatos, or if this was clean color, or if this was Brushos, I could throw some water down and instantly it would start to blend and move and it would be happy. It's never gonna blend. It just isn't. That's what makes Memento so unique in a dye-based ink, and that is why people who stamp and color really love it, because they can stamp their image and then go in with their pens. Same with a water, if you wanted to watercolor, if you wanted to stamp your image with your Memento and then watercolor, because you add that water, it doesn't make the lines of your stamp go all blurry. But then how do we get what we want today? Well, I want to blend Mementos. I want to use Mementos and really get them blended so that those of you, because lots of you have Mementos, they've been sitting there. Maybe you use your black all the time, but you've got some of the little dewdrops, or I want you to use them. I want you to be able to do some of the pretty effects that some of those other products also offer. And then if you love the other products, I mean, the Brushos are truly magnificent and gelatos are truly magnificent, and they can do so much more than just blending. They're phenomenal. But if you want to make blended backgrounds, I want to show you how to do that using your Mementos and also using your Brilliance, because I know lots of you have that. And I'm going to use the stamps from Docratfs so that you can see that having such a big stamp isn't a negative, it's a positive, because you have options. I can hear that husband walking around in the background. You have options. Yes, you have options. I've never known when more is not more. I mean, I don't want to have to buy a little stamp here and a little stamp there and a little stamp there for $5 to $10 each. I want one for $10 that I can pick apart and use just the way I want. And today we're going to be working also with detailed embossing powder from Stampendous. Detailed embossing powder is a very special type of embossing powder. It is super fine. It gets all of those really fine lines of your stamps. If you are stamping words, or you are stamping fine lines or beautifully etched flourishes or flowers, and they are not coming out, they're like kind of globbed together and the lines kind of melt into each other, it's because you're using the wrong product. Not that there's anything wrong with standard embossing powder, but you got to use the right tool for the right job. You need a detailed embossing powder to get those fine lines and keep them fine, so that when you're done embossing, it doesn't look like it's all mushed into each other. Now, we generally just sell detailed embossing powder. I mean, we sell chunky, other types of embossing powders, but for straight embossing, we only sell the detailed embossing powder. And the reason being, a detailed embossing powder can do a big fat line. You can make it you can do a big solid block of if you needed to emboss, but it will also do the really fine lines. Whereas a standard embossing powder will only do the big heavy lines, but will never do the fine lines. So why have both if you can just have one? Detailed embossing powder comes in gold, silver, black, white, clear, and copper. Copper is pretty exclusive to Scrapbooking Made Simple, the Stampendous Copper Embossing Powder, the detailed embossing powder. So if you don't have it, you may want to pick just that one up because it is a beautiful color. So we're going to be playing with embossing powder and stamps and inks. I am going to get started. And for those of you who know how to emboss, I'm going to ask a little patience with you because I am going to pull out the heat tool and I am going to heat up. I'm only going to emboss once. I'm not going to do every single one of them, but I do want to stamp, and I want to emboss half, and I want to leave the other half plain, and then show people out there, the new crafters who have never seen embossing powder before, and how it goes from that powder to this rich, beautiful solid. It's magic. Honestly, it's magic. So for those of you who know how to emboss, just hang with me a little bit and let me do one, and then we'll get into how to color with the mementos so that you can kind of blend a little bit. All right? All right. Now, I have this big old stamp, and I am going to take off the back liner, but I'm going to leave it on the front liner. See? It's even indexed. Isn't that nice? Indexed means they print it on the front liner, the actual stamp, so you can line it back up. I'm going to leave that on there because we're going to stamp this in a reverse manner. As Willy Wonka would say, what is it? We have to go backwards to go forwards, and that's kind of what we're going to do here. We're going to go backwards to go forwards. I am going to bring over my craft mat, my little gush pad, and I do have a little one this time. This is the time we're having one where you cut them into different sizes. Might be a little bit nicer, but mine's little. That's okay. We're going to be just fine. I'm going to put my stamp onto my gush pad. I'm layering backwards. Normally, I would be putting my paper on my gush pad and I would be stamping into my gush pad, but we're going to do things a little differently because the stamp is so big. Now, if you've got a block this size, that's awesome. But I know lots of you do not have a block this size. This is pretty big block, but you still want to use a big stamp and be successful in it because you don't want holes in everything. You know, holes are when you stamp and you don't push hard enough in one area and you pull up and you've got missing places. So I'm going to put my gush pad down. Then I'm going to put my stamp on top of my gush pad. Today we're going to use Versamark. Versamark is a watermark and embossing medium. It is clear. You don't see it, but it stays wet long enough for me to put embossing powder on top of it. Or if I was using it with a colored paper, I could stamp my image and then let it dry and would have a watermark effect. Versamark. It's the one we recommend. It's the only one we carry in our store. It's been around forever. It is an Imagine Crafts product. It does what it says it's going to do, and it does it every single time. It has a re-inker, absolutely. It has a marker that you can use as an oops pin. And so anyway, I'm going to put a little bit of Versamark onto my stamp. Now I'm not inking the whole thing. I'm just going to ink the area that I want. And again, we're going backwards here. So then I'm going to take my piece of paper, and I'm just using 80-pound Simply Defined white cardstock. 80-pound Simply Defined white cardstock. So if you've got white cardstock, you're pretty good. I'm going to lay it right on top of where I want. And this is the beauty of having a large stamp. I could put my paper here, I could put my paper here, I could just do this area over here, I could just do that area over there. What is it from this stamp that you're trying to create? I'm going to put my paper right over the top, and I always cut my paper a little bit larger than I need because I can cut down. Now, many of you would think that I'm going to rub with my hands over it. No. This, I'm going to take now. I happen to have a block. It's not as big as my stamp, but I do happen to have a Tim Holtz grid block. I'm going to put it right over the top. And I'm going to push into my gush pad because I don't want to do it on a hard surface. I'm not going to make that really great connection between the stamp and the paper. I need that gush pad underneath, even though I'm doing it in reverse. But I can hear you now. Stacy, I don't have a block even that size. Okay. Do you have a big shot machine? Do you have a big kick? Do you have a vagabond? Do you have a cuddle bug? Do you have, I don't know, what other machines are out there on the market that have clear plates that you usually cut on, or use one as your do not cut? There, my dear, is your block. Does not have to be a formal stamping block. It just has to be something flat that you can see through so that you can get good pressure. You don't even have to see through it if you don't want to. But if you've got a big shot or a big kick or a vagabond or a spellbinders or anything that has a clear plate, a cuddle bug, you can do this, and you don't have to go out and buy anything special for it. Honest, no special block. If you happen to have a Tim Holtz grid block set, well, then you've got a block nice size. But okay, so down I go. But I wanted to tell you that because I could almost hear you go, but I don't have one that size. You don't need one that size. Think about what you've got in your kitchen that you might be able to use. Okay, so I know that this is going to be hard to see, but there is a watermark on there. There is a watermark on there. Now, I am going to take, I'm going to put this off to the side for now. I'm going to bring over my trusty dusty funnel here. I've got it folded in half. I'm going to put my paper in there, and I am going to take gold detailed embossing powder, and I'm going to sprinkle it all over the top. And what looks like there's nothing there, I know it's clear, it looks like nothing there, magic will happen when I sprinkle it over the top. Now I'm a dumper because I know that the majority of it's going to go right back into, haha, where there was nothing, now there's something. Come over to this side. Tap off. And I've got my image. But we're not done. Right now this is just powder. We need to do something with it because if I wipe my hand across it, it's going to wipe all the way off. I'm going to go ahead and put that down. I'm going to put my embossing powder that I didn't use right back in, right back into my jar. No waste. Put that over to the side, and I am going to grab my heat tool. This is my heat tool. This is the Ranger Heat It tool. It is not the cylinder one. Will the cylinder one work? Yes, it will actually be faster doing the embossing than this. Can it burn your paper? Yes. Can it burn you? Yes. It's gonna take a few extra minutes to emboss this with the heat tool, but are you gonna burn your paper? No. Can you have an open bottle of embossing powder, actually some on your craft mat next to you, and it won't blow away? Yes. When I turn this on, will my paper blow away? No. No, but with the cylinder one, that happens. So we choose to sell the heated tool. Is this a hair dryer? No. Can you use a hair dryer? No, it doesn't get hot enough. And what I need this to do is to melt that powder, that gold powder. I need it to melt that gold powder into a solid. So I'm only going to do half of it, and then I'm going to wipe the other half away to show you. And typically I don't do this in a YouTube because it takes time. This is where everybody else speeds it up, and then, you know, in 5 seconds they were able to emboss something. And but I'm going to take the time to show you. I'm not doing this. I'm doing it in one space. I'm staying there long enough until I see it turn, and then I am moving on. I can actually see the gold turning from a powder to a solid, and that is where that magic absolutely happens. Now again, I'm not gonna do the whole thing, but I'm gonna do enough of it so that you can see the difference. I'm going to do half of it for those people who have never embossed. It is an aha moment. It is wonderful to see people who, because they're going to be doing this in the YouTube and the make and take that's going on downstairs right now. And I know that there are people who will be there who have never seen this done. And the minute they see it, oh, that's what they do. Oh, it's fabulous. It's like the most rewarding. It just makes my heart happy. Okay, now I want to tell you what I did not do. You didn't see me do this. Why did I not do that? Because I'm trying to keep the heat concentrated long enough to get it to melt from a powder to a solid. If I start here and then I move over here and this hasn't changed yet, I'm taking the heat I just added to it away, and now it starts to instantly cool. Then I move back and now it's got to heat back up and try and melt again, but then I move over here, so now it's cooling off again and it still hasn't melted all the way. So I keep my heat tool in one place until I start to see it change, and then I slowly move it around my card base. Everybody does it different. However you do it, if you do it the way you like, that's great, go ahead. But if you're just learning, try to keep your tool, and I get really close because this tool is not going to burn. It's not going to burn your paper. Now, I want to show you the difference. Can you see how that's all high gloss and how it doesn't move? That powder has now been made into a solid. This over here I did not do, and it is still a powder. And just wipe it right off because that heat never changed it to a solid. That is what embossing powder does. And it comes in lots of different colors, and as long as you've got a Versamark pad, and if you've got a clear embossing, you can stamp it on any color paper and it's wonderful. I mean, there's just tons to be done, but I wanted somebody who had never really seen what embossing powder does. I wanted you to see what it does. Now, if I had not done that, I could turn my heat tool back on and just let it sit in the one place until it starts to turn, and then walk it down. I want to show you this, and I'm hoping that you can see it. I did this one with a cylinder tool, and the cylinder tool, I don't know if I'll be able to get this on camera. It burned. Can you see where it burned my embossing powder? Yes, embossing, and it burned it here, down there. I don't know if you can see the brown, how it's not shiny and it's just not pretty. Burned it up here. You've got all that beautiful embossed gold, and then these places where it's burned. Can you burn embossing powder? Yes. You do need to be careful. When you see it turn, you need to start moving. Don't just keep sitting there. You can see it. You can obviously see that it's gone to shiny. Move. Move, 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 and don't burn your embossing powder. So that is how you emboss. You use a stamp, you use a Versamark, you could use a stencil and lay your stencil down on top of your paper and put your Versamark in there. and then lift your stencil and throw your embossing powder down and do it. You could make masks out of your dies, but it adds a beautiful element to your paper. All right, so I went ahead and I used this section right here. I could have raised it and used this section, which has the hot air balloon, or I could have done it from the bottom, or I could have just put my paper on the corner. Because you've got a big stamp, you've got decisions to make. And if it was an all over background stamp, well then you can do a very small piece, but you could do a very big piece. What if you want it for your scrapbook layouts? Sometimes it's hard to find stamps that will allow you to do matting and to make borders. These will let you do it. So, but remember, it's in reverse. Gush pad down first, stamp wherever it is, wherever the image is that you want to see on your paper, put that on the center of your gush pad. Whether you ink it up with Versamark because you're going to emboss it, or you ink it up with your Memento ink. Let me see if I can. Probably should have used the black one. It's bigger. It won't take as long. Let's just get some ink on here. It won't be perfect, but it'll be good enough. Okay. Let's put my paper down. So like I said, for that I should have used my big one because I'd get better coverage with my big one. It's a big space. Put my cutting pad, my block, my clear plate, whatever you've got, push it into the gush. And pull up. And it's done. What if I only wanted what if all I wanted was the little hand? What if that's all I wanted? I've inked it, put my paper down, get my little block, give it a good press, and you can feel it gushing in, making nice contact. That's good, that's what we want. We're not doing chest compressions, we're just giving nice all over pressure. And the reason I choose to do it this way versus this way is because you have valleys in your hands, you have mountains and valleys. And when you're pressing, what happens if you never press where that valley is? What if you don't get good all over pressure? This gives you a solid flat surface to do that. Bam! Ho, 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 bam! There's a reason why I do some of the things I do. So I'm just explaining why I do what I do. Because I have done that where I have put my hands down there and I'm trying to get, first you get ink on your hands, but I'm trying to make sure I get every area pressed, and lo and behold, I end up missing something. So I just do that, it's easier. All right, I'm gonna clear this off. Now, we've stamped with this. I am using, when I say a wet wipey, there were a lot of questions about that. Stacy, what do you mean by a wet wipey? I mean a baby wipe, and the cheaper the baby wipe, the better. Do not use good expensive baby wipes. No, no, no. Use inexpensive baby wipes. Go to the Walmart or Sam's Club or Costco or Dollar Store. You do not need good baby wipes. Inexpensive. And it's clean and it's ready to go again. Now I have pre-embossed some of my cards over here. I have pre-embossed. Here I have got one that has roses. Yes, this is the musical set. I think it's called Musical. It's the musical set from Docratfs. And yes, it's a big stamp. But holy smokes, artichokes. Yes, it comes in the cute little storage. Be nice if I could pull it out. There we go. So it has all that different detail to it. The flowers and the musical score and the damask, and it's got, and is the ballerina on this one? Yes, the ballerina. It's got all of those different elements that you can choose to use some of or all of. If you just want the ballerina, you just put your paper there and just stamp that, and you didn't have to go buy a specific ballerina stamp. If you want the roses, you just stamp that and you didn't have to go buy a separate rose stamp. And if you want damask or musical notes, there it is, you just stamp that. Lots of options for $8, and that's what it comes to on the YouTube Yummy. So I'm gonna take this, and I've already stamped it with my Versamark. I've already put my gold embossing powder on top. I've already tapped it off, and I have already heated with my Ranger Heat It tool. Now I'm gonna color it. Okay, this is where it gets a little interesting. I've got 3 colors of Memento. I've got a yellow, an orange, and rhubarb. Remember when I said if I take this straight down, it's never gonna blend. It's never gonna give me anything. But if I take a baby wipe, a wet wipe, and I get some yellow on there, it's not gonna hurt your ink pad. Get some yellow on there. Ha 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 ha. Let's get some orange. I like yellow. Yellow is always my foundation color, and you always want to start with your lightest color. Well, maybe I want a little bit more. Voila. I could go darker if I wanted. I could absolutely go darker. I could add more orange. It's whatever you want to make of it. By using the Memento ink. Maybe I have... Probably should stop doing that, huh? You'd probably like me just to hold it up there and show you. But I needed a little more red. Okay, I'll stop. There's your background. Done with Memento ink. Most of you have Memento ink or a dye-based ink. Get a wet wipey and try it. You're talking about white paper. That's all you're talking about is white paper. And if you don't want to do the embossing, you can make a beautiful background and then stamp on top of it. Absolutely. Isn't that gorgeous? So there's that. Let's grab a white one. So I have, let's grab this white one. I have stamped with Versamark, and I have put white embossing powder on top of white paper. I could have done the same thing with clear embossing powder because I want that embossing to be white. I'm gonna grab some of my Guy colors and we're gonna play. So let's go here, and maybe here, and so green, and maybe some blue, and I might even throw some brown in there. I'm gonna start with my lightest color, which is my Toffee Crunch. I'm gonna just get some on my baby wipe, and then I'm just gonna swirl it on. And you can be very specific as to where you want your color. You don't have to just be generic. You can go where it is you wanna go. I just want it all over so I get a base color on there. Now we're going to add maybe a little bit of the pistachio. Let's see if that's going to be dark enough. Oh yeah. I'm just going to add a little pistachio here and there. And then last but not least, I'm going to hit it with some of my nautical blue. And if I want, I could go back and add a little lighter color if I need to fill in some places or make it a little darker. There you go. Done with Memento ink. And I could absolutely continue. That's the problem, is that you want to just keep going and going and going. Knowing when to stop seems to be a very hard thing. Get out a little dark brown. Just to maybe age it just a little bit. It's kind of hard to make mud. But now I've added even more depth. And I did it with Memento ink. The Memento ink most of you have some of. So if you want to be able to blend, but you didn't know how, and you didn't have perhaps some of the other things we've been showing, here is another way. And while it doesn't have the same fluid motion some of the other products does, it absolutely will work. It will give you what you want it to be, without question. Without question. And then you've got your background, and there's a great guy background, and you're good to make your guy cards. You can do this. Let's see. Oh, that's a white one. I've got a coppery one here. I don't know what's going to look good on copper. You know what? Maybe I'll use the gold again real quick. I think I'm going to use the gold again because I'm going to take the Brilliance inks. And remember how I told you the Brilliance are pretty much a pigment. They are a pigment-based ink, so they take longer to dry and they're generally metallic. Well, this is a metallic, and it's the same one that's right here. And if I put it straight to it, it will take a long time to dry, no question about it. And I don't want it to take that long. I want to move on. So I'm going to do the same thing I did with my Mementos. So Brilliance is also a Imagine Crafts product. Memento is an Imagine Crafts product. This is the Memento is their dye-based ink, and Brilliance is their pigment-based ink. Again, if you're not going to use a pigment-based ink often, but you want a metallic look, I recommend getting the Dewdrops. They're a lot less money, and you can have all the colors. I think you can almost get 3 of these for the price of 1 of these. Okay, but if you're doing wedding invitations or bridal shower invitations and you need a big pad, well then spend the money on it. But if you don't, well then don't. Okay, so I've got the pink, and you can even almost see it's metallic-y. It's a metallic ink. I'm gonna get a little bit on my wet wipey, and I'm gonna go in there and I'm just gonna add some color. And maybe I'll throw some purple in there. And what's happening is where I have embossed, it's acting as a natural resist, which means the ink is not sticking to it. So it's not covering it up. It's acting as a natural, gosh, I almost want to leave it like that. Oh, what to do, what to do. Okay, this is where you make a decision. Do you keep going or do you stop? How pretty is that? Isn't that gorgeous? Do you keep going or stop? Well, let's just throw a little bit of gold in there. Just to, oh no, well, should have stopped. Well, maybe not. Let's just throw some in there and see what happens. Not too much though. All right, okay, I'm okay. But the good thing is I'm working on paper, just paper. That's it. But look at how pretty is that. Isn't that pretty? And again, I could just take a piece of paper and put my colors down and then grab my stamp and stamp with just Memento ink. Or I could, I mean, it's up to you. I did the embossing because I really like how the resist works. I really do. And it looks great. So, so lots of options, but when you're using a big stamp, here's the musical one. You want to kind of make it work for you, as opposed to you trying to push this down and line it up and put your paper over here and where does it go, and am I, you know, and making sure you've got it pressed all the way down. Best thing to do, just turn it around and make it work for you. So here, let's ink. Decisions. Let's do this one. I'm going to ink this one up with just black. I'm not going to emboss it. I'm just going to ink it up with some black Memento. Sorry if the camera's shaking. Okay, I think that should be enough. We'll find out. I'm going to drop my paper right on top. I'm going to use whatever I'm using, Tim Holtz grid block, a cutting pad from my Sizzix Big Shot or my Big Kick, or a cutting pad from my Cuttlebug, whatever you've got. I'm going to give nice all over pressure, but not doing chest compressions, because what happens is you end up putting all the pressure here, but no pressure anywhere else. It's not going to revive the stamp, I promise. Oh, I embossed on that one. Oh my gosh. Okay, well that didn't come out so good. I had taken a piece, I don't know if you can see, I grabbed a piece of paper that I had, well, let's just add some ink to it and see what happens. Oops. That's how you know these things are not scripted and not edited, because we're just gonna go with it. I want you to see that I accidentally grabbed a piece of paper that had embossing on it. So the white embossing's coming as on top of the, oh, it's kind of cool. All right, I'll go with it. And let's grab a red. Oh, so you can see, oopsie, I accidentally stamped on top of embossing. That's generally not gonna work because the ink is going to resist where the embossing was. But hey, why not use it as a background? It's done, right? There you go. Okay, so when you're looking at stamps and you think that a stamp is too big, before you discount it, before you say, I never make a card that big or I never make a project that big, look at what's on the stamp. And is it pretty? Is it something that you would use? Are there elements of that stamp that you would use? Because generally, it is less expensive to buy a big stamp than to buy many smaller stamps. And if you can take it and decide exactly where you want to stamp, why wouldn't you want a better value? And Docratfs has given that to you, along with their super nice little storage. I've got to get the binders for these. I don't know that we'll be able to sell them online because I don't know how big they are. But by George, I bet there's a binder out there somewhere where you can make this work, and it comes with the storage. They have many large stamps, and for $8, because they'll be on sale, you really can't go wrong with that price. Here, look at the, I don't know what color to use on this. Look at the beautiful butterflies. Aren't they gorgeous? I guess I'll just use a yellow maybe, and a green, and maybe the blue, I don't know. Let's just get it a little wet. Go in Add some color. Always start with your lightest color first and then build your color off of that. If you put down your darkest color right now, you're not going to be able to add the yellow because it'll absorb into the darker color. You'll never actually see it. So always start with your lightest color. And then let's add maybe a little bit of green. And I'm just a swirler. It goes where it goes is where it goes. If you want to be more specific about where you put it, absolutely. I just am the way I am. And then, I don't know, some orange. Oh, I don't know. No, the orange I need to add. It's going to drive me crazy. This is where I have a trouble just stopping and saying, it's enough. I have a hard time with that. Because I always think, well, what if we add just a little bit more? Or what if we do just a little bit more? Which is how the shop that didn't hop in the Sizzix warehouse sale got to be so big. What if we just add a little bit more? So there are the butterflies in the copper. I love the copper embossing powder. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. See, and my gut says, add a little red over here and do a little bit. I'm going to put it aside. So what have we gone over today? Because it was a lot. It really was. We talked about different inks. We talked about a chalk-based ink, which it should say chalk on the package, that dries super fast. So fast that you generally can't stamp with it. We talked about a dye-based ink, and that dye-based dries almost as fast as chalk because it's right next to it in the alphabet. D is right next to C, so C for chalk, D for dye, but it stays wet long enough for you to use it on your stamps. Memento does not generally move with water, whereas something like a Tim Holtz Distress ink absolutely moves with water. So if I were to stamp with this and then decide to add a wet wipey and some other colors, this color is going to kind of feather out because it does react with water. Unlike a Memento, that does not. So it depends upon what effect you're looking for. So you've got dye-based inks which stay wet long enough for you to stamp with them, but not long enough for you to throw an embossing powder down. And if you're going to do that, that's what a Versamark is, or your next letter is P for a pigment ink. And that is going to let you stamp. It's going to stay wet long. You're going to be able to throw embossing powder over the top of it, clear embossing powder, and it's going to emboss to the color of your stamp pad. Or if you're doing beautiful invitations and you want a metallic look to them, this is going to allow you to do that. Just know it will smear. You need to set it aside and let them dry if you're not adding embossing powder to it, because you will be able to take it Did you see all that? You will be able to smear it. It will smear. Okay? So you need to know that. Now I got it on my, now I got gold finger. It's late. I'm tired. And you know, I've never seen that James Bond movie in my life. Okay, I just cracked myself up. All right, so we talked about inks. CDP, chalk, dye, pigment. Chalk dries fast, really fast. Dye dries almost as fast, but lets you stamp with it. Pigment lets you emboss with it, stays wet a really long time and gives you beautiful metallics. And then permanent, stays on, permanent. The reason they called it stays on is because it stays on. So for your non-porous, your glass, your metal, your plastic, your acetate, all of that stuff stays on. That's a P, permanent. All right, we also talked about the Docratfs stamps and how fabulous they are, even though they're big. Use them to your advantage. Spend the money, spend the $8 and get 1, 2, 3, 4 different stamps. Absolute plus this stamp. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, you can divide it up any way that makes you happy. Just remember to do it the opposite way. Gush pad down first, stamp pad facing, or stamp facing up, ink your stamp, put your paper down, put your clear plate over the top, and press to get your best results, unless you happen to have a block this large. And you know, even then, I think you have a better opportunity going this way to not get holes in your stamps. Detailed embossing powder by Stampendous, 6 different kinds. Detailed will do everything. It will do fat lines, thin lines, curly lines, straight lines, whereas regular embossing powder will never do the detail. I would never, 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 never be able to get those lines, the music lines, with a straight embossing powder. The scripty words, I would never be able to get them. They would just be a blob. It would just be a mess. All right, I have product to show you. So on the YouTube Yummy, there will be Versamark in 2 sizes, small, large. Versamark never goes old. My pad I've been using forever. It just never goes bad, and you can re-ink it again and again and again. I want to show you some of the stamps. Before I get to the samples, I want to show you some of the stamps that that Docratfs has. We've got I think the Steampunk, which is the one I've been working with. And this is the musical that I was working with. Docratfs, I wish you wouldn't put so much stuff on the front of it so we could see what we're buying. You could have easily incorporated all of that over here. We'd like to see what we're buying. The brick. How great for guy cards, honestly. They've got tags and flowers. You're going to get all of these for the $8. All of it. All these little individual stamps for the $8. We've got haberdashery, so all of your fun little sewing pieces. This is one of my favorites. I think it's called, was it Bloom? Oh, and their writing is so small. They have to realize I'm getting old. I don't know what the name is. I can't find it. But I love it. What it does is it has the grass, the meadow grass along the bottom, and then all of these different stamps that you can go in and layer all your pretty flowers on. It's just beautiful. Truly it is. This is one of my favorites. And then we have the wood plank, the wood flooring. Again, great for guy. Oh my gosh. We have floral. Look at how beautiful is that. We've got a whole bunch of butterflies. Tons of different butterflies in borders, in backgrounds, all by themselves. Tons of butterflies. We've got beautiful little music notes and frames. Absolutely beautiful. Oh, maybe this one's haberdashery. I don't know. This one's got buttons and bows and all sorts of stuff. But you can use just the elements. Don't think about using the entire stamp unless you need to use the entire stamp. Don't look at it as if every time you use it, you have to use the entire stamp. Think about what elements of the stamp do you like. And then we have got paisley. And there's more. I could show you more. I also have been using all the backgrounds I'm going to show you were done from Simply Defined, the colorations. That's my paper line, and it is 8.5 by 11. You get 2 of every color you see there for a total of 48 sheets for $9.99. And if you don't have cardstock, this is a great way to get some. It's inexpensive. It is beautiful quality, 80-pound cover weight, and that's what we've been using. So $9.99. And then let me show you some of the samples. Oh, and then we've got gold, black, white, copper, clear, and silver. So 6 different embossing powders. Didn't shut that one very good. 6 different embossing powders from Stampendous, and they will all be on a YouTube Yummy. So let me show you some samples of what they're making downstairs while you're watching this. So there's one guy card. Here's another. Which one do you like better? Because it used the exact same part of the stamp. One we did in black embossing powder, one we did in white. Do you like the white? Do you like the black? The colors are different. We use different Memento inks, but you can see how you can vary up the exact same card just by the background paper and the color ink you use. Here we have with the balloon. Do I have another one with the balloon? No. Oh, I have a third one of that. Oh, I do have another one with a balloon. So balloon or balloon. Same stamp, two different ways. Which do you like better? You don't have to choose. You can do both of them because you own the stamp and it's big enough to be able to do something like this and do something like this. You're not going to find stamps too often that's going to let you do vertical and horizontal on the same stamp. Look at this one. This one's the same with the finger. You like the brown color better? I don't know. They're fabulous. And then we have the gears. This is all still from that same steampunk type stamp. And the gears. So do you like the light blue with the white? Do you like the dark blue with the brown hues? All from the exact same stamp. Then we've got the beautiful floral background. How pretty is that? Isn't that lovely? How pretty is that? And then we've got the brickwork. So this is one of my dies, one of my older dies. Look at the brickwork. Look at the detail in that brickwork. Stamped, embossed, and colored. And then we've got the music notes. Stamped, embossed, and colored. But you don't have to emboss if you don't want to. You can just stamp and color. And last but not least, oh no, we have two actually. We have the butterfly with the copper. Can you see the copper embossing powder? It's beautiful. Butterfly. And then we have one that we did in a heavy metallic. In a really heavy, heavy metallic. So, like I said, downstairs everybody's putting together one of these cards. They get to choose where they stamp. They get to choose the colors that they want to make it with. And if you're ever in sunny California on a Saturday, come on by because we're doing a free make and take. Just like we do a YouTube every Saturday, we do a free make and take in the store every Saturday. Now these are all going to be on a YouTube Yummy, the embossing powder, the Versamark, the stamps, the Memento, all going to be on a YouTube Yummy. And don't forget the craft mat that I was working on, the non-skid, non-slip craft mat is the Simply Refined craft mat. It's my craft mat and it doesn't move when you use it. So, and we have those in stock. I released that just a little while ago and it has been an overwhelming success. Thank you. All right, where are you going to find all these great products? You're going to find them at no, we don't even have to do www anymore. It's just scrapbookingmadesimple.com. I can see it's getting dark. That's because it's late. So scrapbookingmadesimple.com is where you're going to find them all. It's me, Stacy, Scrapbooking Made Simple. This is Saturday with Stacy, YouTube number 159, and I will see you next week. Don't forget to post your comment and go send us your submission for the contest. You might just find yourself a lucky winner chicken dinner. Bye everybody.